If you like this video, hit that subscribe button. I put out new Storybook Brawl videos every single day at 9:30 p.m. EST, and turns out most of you guys aren't subscribed yet, so what are you waiting for? I'm a pretty small channel, so I do also pay a lot of attention to comments and likes, so let me know what type of content you guys want to see. Enjoy the video. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to be looking at a game of Storybook Brawl with a pretty zany ending. This game does not go super well for us here as a Miri player, so we wind up pivoting into a scam comp, and, well, the last battle makes some really fun and exciting things happen, which can happen when you are playing with Pumpkin King. And so I wanted to highlight this video highlight this game in this video today. So we're going to start off buying a baby dragon up against a skip and locking, a shop with a shrink ray, a golden chicken, and a labyrinth minotaur. That allows us to shrink, buy, sell chicken, and then purchase 2 units. So now we've got 3 units on our second turn, and things are going pretty okay for us despite not finding any princes or princes. I think that there is an argument that you could not lock that shop there and instead use your money on your second turn to just roll and then pick up a prince or princess. And that's totally an acceptable way to play Miri, but I don't want to get too pigeonholed, and when I see a shop with shrink and chicken, I just go ahead and lock her up, so that way we can have a more powerful board for the next turn. We are going to continue to win our game, and I just realized that this game is against Isaac, who is one of the developers for the Storybook Brawl tracker. This is an older game, so I don't have the Storybook Brawl tracker on this video, but Isaac has become pretty friendly with me since then. We've been practicing, basically figuring out what the different mechanics are that exist in Storybook Brawl just to improve the efficacy and reliability of the tracker's new features that are coming down the line. So shout out to all of the developers on the Storybook Brawl tracker. But yeah, I just happened to notice Isaac there in my game. I think that's how you pronounce it, Isaac, I-S-I-K. But no matter, we are foraging on with Miri, and we are still really powerful here with Baby Root supporting double Minotaur. We've had more units than all of our opponents previously. Still have not found any princes or princes, but that's totally fine. We have found some other things here. And with how powerful I've been, I am honestly pretty tempted into picking up this experience here. But if we just buy like Baby Root plus Pig, or Baby Root plus Lucky, Baby Root plus Shadow Assassin. I do think Baby Root plus Shadow Assassin looks like what I am leaning up to pick here, and the main reason for that is because it's getting +2 attack with the Minotaurs already. This does basically mean I have to put the Shadow Assassin in the front spot, otherwise it's not getting those +2 attack bonuses, so that is the reason for this wonky kind of board right now. But then I'm going to lock for the trash can so that we can get some XP. And again, I'm locking a shop that has no princes or princesses, and just locking for the spell. But I do think that this is a way that you have to consider playing Miri sometimes, is that you're not always just going to get some princes and princesses. Sometimes you're just going to have to make some other things happen. And we do have the potential to pick up our first princess here. We could do something like sell Unicorn, backline Shadow Assassin, or backline a Minotaur, and then frontline that Ogre Princess. We could also just do something like picking up a Mad Mim or something like that. But it does look like I am going to pick up our first princess of the game and put it in a spot where Shadow Assassin can make use of it. And then we could backline one Minotaur here as well. That could also be good. Or just backline the Shadow Assassin. And I think that that is also totally fine to just backline it, and we won't get it won't be a 4 attack ranged unit, but maybe it will be a 3 attack one with the ability of our Ogre Princess to potentially slay. So as long as that Ogre Princess slays, then we'll maybe get another prince or princess off of it and be able to make some work happen. But unfortunately, against Skip with a Lady of the Lake, we are not going to be slaying, and we are also honestly going to be in a pretty precarious situation here. We are going to trade with one of our opponent's front lines units, and then we're going to take our first damage of the game. So yeah, there we go. Definitely a little bit of an atypical build from Miri. We're going to create our first triple here, but it is a baby root, not something that is particularly spectacular with what we're doing. Dancing Sword seems good, though, if we need to try to slay or something like that. Seems like that might get us somewhere. And then I guess we'll just take a free roll and see where this gets us. Puff Puffs? Is this a Puff Puff game all of a sudden? 2 Puff Puffs is definitely tempting. I think that Sporko is also pretty tempting here, though, too. Just actually, let's get that slay off on the Ogre Princess, and that seems like a route that it should go. And I think we're actually pretty powerful again now. Just with that one Sporko, I think that's a big power spike here. We are not quite Skip with only 1 extra XP, but kind of doing a Skip impression this game with the fact that we are not really using our hero power. We're not really too powerful on the board, but at least we are up in XP. And hopefully we found enough ways to have a somewhat strong enough board. It does look like, yeah, we'll be able to trade with everything Merlin's got going on here. So that's great. The Stag is going to attack, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we do take out my opponent's ranged unit. And then we've got 2 ranged units ourselves in the back line. So we will be able to win this fight there, regardless of how those 50-50s go. And I'm feeling pretty good now. Dealing 5 damage to Merlin makes us almost the lobby leader. If we win against Sharon here, then we are the lobby leader. Excuse me. Just ate some dinner. And here we have an interesting decision point to make. Again, we could take another XP. At that point, we're Skip. And at that point, probably just taking Medusa. There is a Cinderella here as well. We could start to try to get our first quest done as Miri. But you know what? At this point, I just don't think that there's any way that that becomes relevant. If we are going to buy the Cinderella, we do want to buy it before we buy the trash can, so we do have to think about it a little bit. But I think that just buying the trash can and buying the Medusa gives us the most avenues to victory here. A little bit awkward with the spacing, because if my opponent attacks and kills a Minotaur, that will bring Medusa down to just 5 attack. It's got 3 attack, and then it's getting 1 from Minotaur, 1 from Minotaur, 1 from Treasure. So, could be awkward if my opponent attacks and kills a Minotaur first, but if Medusa attacks and kills first, then we don't have to worry about the fact that our Minotaurs are supporting it. I do think the Minotaurs gain a lot from this baby root, and looks like we will get that kill. And we will get a slay. So pretty good combat. If that could have attacked into the Minotaur, that would have been sweet, but things still look pretty good, all things considered. Our ranged units are going to be just a little bit short, and then Vulture's going to take out our Shadow Assassin after my opponent has a slew of Black Cats. So a little bit annoying. We take 4 extra damage there, drop down to 22, and that puts us in 6th place now in the lobby. We see an Arthur here, but I don't think that's in the cards for us at this point. I think we are rolling on past that Arthur, and now I am looking at these things like Rotten Applewood and Siren in terms of just finding some powerful units that might be able to do some powerful things. So that is the idea here. Now, I do kind of need Sporko on the... Oh, I'm going for the Chupacabra? Oh, okay. That's a little bit different. I think I used to maybe... I mean, this game was a little bit closer to when Slay was just patched out, so maybe I put a little bit more emphasis on the Chupacabra at this time. Would definitely love to see me move over the baby route as well. Oh, I'm also grabbing the Siren. Okay, this makes a little bit more sense then. I don't know if that was my plan the whole time, but if that's my plan now, then it does make a little bit more sense, because Siren, especially if it's being buffed by Chupacabra, can be really strong. The other play that I could have seen is putting the baby root on the Rotten Applewood, and that would have just given us a lot of chance to slay. But you can see we are not princesses and princes, and I do think that obviously when you're playing Mirror, you want to be able to make use of the hero power as much as you can. But short of that, a pretty good route to go is just understanding that when you need to pivot, that scamming is always a good option. And again, we see another Cat's Call. Ridiculous stuff. We would have won this combat, actually, had it not been for the Cat's Call, but because of it, we are going to take 5. So Cat's Call really doing some work here against us, or if they didn't have that Crown of Atlas there. And now I've got to decide, do I want this Shadow Assassin, or is this not something that I'm hanging around with for too long here? I do have the Copycat, could potentially look for like good boy shenanigans coming up in a little bit. Playing up against APOC, I'm going to decide to not pick up that Shadow Assassin, and we are just going to look for, I guess, potentially some more XP. You get some XP this turn, then you could potentially do some powerful things next turn. I don't want the Chupacabra either, so I have to imagine that's what I'm looking for, but to be honest, I do not remember. Oh, okay. So I'm picking up the Copycat pair, and then I will probably just purchase the Lightning Bolt? No. Okay, I want XP. I want XP. That's what I thought I remembered. I do think this Siren is pretty good, though. Yeah, we can just put this Siren in slot 3. I think the Copycat, I'm just not strong enough. I've lost my last 2 fights, and did lose both of my last 2 fights thanks to Cat's Call, but I really just don't want to lose any more health, and I want to make sure that I'm scamming in any possible way here. APOC is not yet 6, so we don't really have to worry about that. We're probably still a higher level than APOC even, right? Yeah, we're 2 levels. APOC has not gotten a single XP. They are just playing dwarves. And for that, we are looking okay, though. Dwarves are strong. We've got to hit this Tiny, or this is a tough combat to win. Because now this Tiny is going to attack in. Actually, that's good for us. It kills our thing, and now we'll at least get to trade with Fanny in the back line. But now we're at 8, and yeah, things are continuing to get pretty scary here. Could roll the XP just to hit 6 and then have just a little bit of gold, but the problem is you do that and then you don't have any gold to spend for the turn, so it's just the same as not buying the XP at this point here either. We're going to roll and then eventually find an upgrade on Southern Siren, and that is going to be really good for us. Allows us to get our second treasure of the game. Some pretty powerful treasures here too, and Dracula Saber I think is a great treasure when you just need some immediate impact on the board. As much as I love Mimic, I think it's probably the strongest treasure in the game. I do think that we are in need of a Saber. If I sell my Copycat and buy the Forbidden Fruit, I will be able to grab another Siren, and it does look like that's what I'm thinking of now. If I lose, I'm probably dead anyways, so 8 health is probably the same as 6. There's no, like, pants in the lobby or anything. So I am going to go ahead and take this Forbidden Fruit, I think. I'm pretty sure I do. And then from there, I'll sell my Copycat and buy this Southern Siren. And then at that point, when I hit 6, I'm just going to be looking for pumpkins. Do I do it? Do I not? I do it. I have to sell my Copycat. There you go, NoLux. All right. And put in the Siren. So yeah, just having big units gets more and more important as well when you've got Dracula Saber. My opponent with a double Fireball really gets super scary for us here. We almost lose this one. We are just barely able to clear some of their things here, and then Siren gets to go in and steal 2 copies of Sherwood Sure Shot. So that is going to be what allows us to survive, but we really almost lost this one. We'll be able to take out the Juliet here, no problem, and then we will kill Horde Dragon, but that one was close. That was really, really scary, and I am glad that we picked up that Siren in the last second here. I like the Gumblegore, also like the It Was All a Dream. We're not doing anything with this Miri hero power, so let's switch heroes. Mask is decent. Cursed King, I think, is a little bit too scary at this point. Definitely considering Mask here, but I could also just go for Gwen. And being able to just grab a knighthood here, purchase something, and then roll out of it. You can see I really, really want the knighthood, but I just don't think that we have enough time. I could have taken that Gumblegore. I think that that was a potential avenue to victory here, but it would be really great if we could knighthood a pumpkin or a dragon or something like that as soon as possible. This is kind of an awkward one. We could lock to pick up a pair of Shadow Assassins. I like it because of the fact that we could get Ancient Sarcophagus off of it. And I think that's like the main reason to do it here. Another thing would be to just take this Medusa and like put the Medusa in slot 2 and potentially scam. So that's what I decided to go for. I don't want the Shadow Assassin. I don't want the Ancient Sarcophagus here. So we are just going to play this double Medusa, and these Medusas do some work for us here. Rotten Applewood also does some work, but we actually totally destroy my opponent in this combat. They are going to take out our Rotten Applewood, but otherwise we totally destroy them, hit them for 14, could have been 15, but really a great performance there. And now we just need to try to find a pumpkin. Gumblegore is fine, but it's not like our Medusas need more attack, and we're running double Medusa here, so I'm not super inclined to pick up a Gumblegore, despite now seeing 3 of them. We also could have gotten like a treasure or something from it. I don't hate Medusa, because now we could grab Mimic if we grab another tier 5 unit, but Skip is also somebody that is level 6, and I'm just afraid I don't want to just sleep on Skip here and potentially just take way too much damage. Now, Doom Breath is a unit that I enjoy a lot. I'm thinking we could move this Medusa either to slot 3 or just put it on the back line. We could throw this dragon in slot 1, buy the golden chicken for later, knighthood our Doom Breath, just so that way it can potentially get some kills off here, and maybe we can find another way to just scam one more combat. And that's basically all I've been doing for, I don't know, this whole game is like, okay, Miri fell apart. Well, how can I play the best board? It's with these Minotaurs. It's with this other stuff. All of these other things are falling apart. What can I just do to play the best board every single turn? And the way that I've done that is just by playing the best board every single turn, but that is what's gotten us to this point in the game. So we've been able to make some pretty powerful things happen. My opponent's going to Cupid, and we're going to Medusa ourselves, so that is a little bit awkward, but our Rotten Applewood is going to survive, and then their Siren is going to steal our Sporko, a little bit of a sign of what's to come here, and then our Siren is going to steal that Sporko back, and we are going to take the sleigh out. Then we see a shop with double pumpkins. I wish that I had held on just a little bit longer, but you know what? Doom Breath with an extra 10 attack, you cannot really scoff at, really. So we're going to want to find the way to pick up both of these pumpkins, and then I'm either going to want to pick up potentially the Applewood or the Siren by selling off a few more things. I really want to keep this Sporko in slot 5 so that it can continue to pump up the Doom Breath. We have to sell something just to even purchase this first pumpkin, and I'll probably put this pumpkin in 6, or could potentially put it in 3. The reason not to put it in 6 is because then you have one pumpkin die, and then you have another pumpkin die immediately after that, and when that happens, that means that your second pumpkin isn't getting that much value. So here, despite having a pumpkin in 3, that pumpkin might only spawn like 3 things, but there's some other ways for that to go wrong as well. So a lot to think about here as far as positioning. I'm actually going to decline. Oh no, I am going to have the Sporko pump the Doom Breath, and it looks like I am going to have the pumpkin go in the front line here. Could sell my entire bench to buy this Sea Terror, but I'm just going to go for the Earthquake. Up against Sharon, who is the lobby leader and doing pretty well for themselves with double Cupid. However, we're able to take both of those Cupids out with our Doom Breath, so that is looking pretty good. Medusa gets a kill, and this is looking like it's going to be a pretty easy win. We are only going to get a sheep for our Sirens efforts, but everything else is looking pretty strong. We have not lost any unit other than the Sporko that they Cupid scammed, and now we will lose the tree and the dragon. But we hit the lobby leader for 12 down to 9, and I'm feeling pretty good, especially getting to play against the Ghost. That means this next combat might be our last. So, do we want to roll, try to find a Medusa, try to find a pumpkin? Well, a tier 4 treasure I am not going to be upset with. Let's grab this. And what do we have? Well, deck of many things gives us the ability to keep scamming. Giving everything +1/+1, especially when we've got pumpkins, is definitely worth it though. And for that reason, looks like I'm going to go with the Moonsong Horn. No, it's a deck of many things. I think that that is the right call, just trying to continue to find as many different possible ways to scam as we can. Putting the Doom Breath second is definitely a little bit interesting, but Siren really likes that position too, so it is tough to say. I'm going to go ahead and True Love's Kiss on my Siren to get an upgraded level 6. Could have worked out really well, winds up not being so hot, but this allows us to run a pretty decent backline configuration here too. I mean, we're just up against the Ghost. I don't think this combat matters too much, though a Doom Breath and a pumpkin on the other side of the field could spell disaster for us. No, it's just going to crack the first pumpkin here, and we did separate our pumpkins. That is another huge reason to not run your pumpkins in 6 and 7. Because imagine we have pumpkins in 6 and 7, my opponent attacks to 3, disaster strikes. So that would be really terrible for us, but looks like we're going to be okay fine here against the Ghost. I do think the deck of many things didn't really do too much for us here, but I do think that it is the right pickup. I don't know about that True Love's Kiss though, because I'm not super excited about this Bear Stain. We do have the opportunity to grab a tier 5 treasure here though, and that is pretty sweet. Because this is probably our last combat, I think I will just go with Exploding Mittens. Decent with Pumpkin, and we will throw away the Dancing Sword. So now, when one of my units dies, we deal 1 to everything my opponent has, and when one of their things dies, all of my creatures get +2/+1. And we haven't met up with this beauty, but we're going to see that they have a pretty similar layout working out. And we'll probably watch this last combat twice just because it is so crazy. I am just considering here that I could sell 2 things and buy these pigs and potentially replace my Siren. I like that. I think that that could actually be a pretty good pickup for us. The other option is just like Burning Palm onto Sporko or Burning Palm onto Dragon. I guess that's also pretty good. Just buff up that Dragon a little bit more. Okay, I am fine with that. Not doing anything with this Bear Stain. Definitely downgraded our board. But my opponent has the Draco Saber as well. Sorry, blanking on the name of that. And my opponent also has an Ancient Sarcophagus. So very similar treasures. They're going to steal the dragon from us. And things are looking pretty good. We actually steal their Crocodile here, which gives us a huge board presence here. But my opponent does have a Pumpkin as their last unit. So they are going to refill their board back up. we are going to attack in, which is going to spawn a pumpkin for us. That is the pumpkin that we stole, and then they steal it back, which is just absolutely hilarious. We only get 2 units off of that. They get a fresh pumpkin. It does look like I said, we are going to be in a pretty good spot here, but my opponent just grabbed 2 more sirens. So if these sirens are also potentially able to steal pumpkins or something like that, well, we're going to have a little bit more of a fight on our hands. My opponent attacks in with the Rotten Applewood. That's not going to be so hot. They also get in with the Siren. Our mittens are doing nothing because whenever one of our units dies, their units grow, and then we hit their units. And now there's just a bunch of AoE damage and all that stuff. But the important thing is we dealt with both of their Sirens. This could have gone even longer. And unfortunately, that is going to be exact lethal to kill our opponent. But there were a lot of different ways that this combat could have gone. It was pretty spectacular with all of the different things, and my opponent running Beauty so that they can also run good units alongside their pumpkin. But let's take a look at it one last time. One thing that I would be interested to see with this combat is running it through Isaac's simulator to see just exactly what our odds were. Maybe I will reach out to him and see if he could get us some rudimentary numbers here for this combat to see exactly what shows up. But yeah, here we go. We are going to steal the crocked pumpkin, which is just absolutely bonkers. Best thing that we could have potentially sirened. We're going to kill their Rotten Applewood, which is also really good for us, and then spawn in a pumpkin, and then they steal it back, which is just hilarious. Have to emote for us there. The pumpkin didn't really even do that much, but it did clear an Applewood. Unfortunately, their pumpkin is not going to even kill our Medusa, so that Medusa is going to have a lot of staying power. And then what's really lucky for us is that both of their sirens were frontlined, which allows us to take those out. One gets taken out here with Aeon, and then the other one attacks into Monster Book. So that's how they steal a Monster Book from us there. And then a whole bunch more triggers, a bunch more AoE. Monster Book is going to shrivel Baba Yaga, and then this Monster Book is going to trade with Medusa. If they had just gotten like a lightning bolt off that last one and it had hit the Sporco, then we would have had to potentially do it again because they only would have taken 7. But there you go. This is a classic Miri game, and I think that this was a fun game to showcase just because of how cool that last fight was, but it's also a really important game to showcase because this was a Miri game. Not super important to remember. Miri is one of the most linear champs in the game. It really only asks you to do one thing, but sometimes you can't do that. And sometimes it is just better to play the best board, buy some XP, and then figure out what you're going to do in that late game. And really, this late game was just, let's continue to play the best board. That's all we continued to do. And we were able to do so better than our opponents, and that got us a crown. So there you go. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.